Antiquity Unveiled, the most marvelous revelations of the 19th century concerning the origin of Christianity by Jonathan Manning Roberts. We close the section called Zoroaster, Zarathustra, or Zerdusht. But here we have the additional spirit testimony that the civilization of this, our western continent, was at one time in history progressing side by side with that of the great eastern continent of Asia, and that the Buddhistic sage Bochika taught all the laws of cause and effect, in other words, the Baconian philosophy, in Bolivia and Peru long before Manio Capac and his wife appeared there. It would appear that Christianity had performed the same part in utterly arresting and advanced native civilization on the western continent that it did in Asia, Europe, and Africa, where it supplanted the civilizations of those continents. Now remember that you can find reference to how Europe doesn't start over by Dagestan. It used to be considered as starting over, dividing the Persians from the Hindus. So over Afghanistan and stuff would still have been Europe. And Asia, Europe, over by Turkey, Asia, Europe, and Africa was thought to be over there. So forget this whole Middle Eastern thing. It's like what the Arabian Plate. They've kind of put it off in Asia. So there's different definitions of some of these continents, right? I prefer the older ones. But for the art of printing, that religious curse would have continued to block the way to human freedom and progress, when the Spirit said that all science and all the knowledge of antiquity is consecrated in the book of Daniel and the book of Revelations, so-called, he meant, as he afterwards explains, that they furnish the key to the secret mysteries of all ancient knowledge, that both those works were, from the same Spirit source, is manifest to anyone who will read them by the allegorical key placed here in their hands, that the book of Daniel, so far as it possesses any value, is due to Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, and the book of Revelation to Apollonius of Tyana. Actually, Yuda ben Yuda, known as Barabbas, wrote the Aramaic of that text. It may not have been known in the 1800s, but let's not jump to conclusions where there are no conclusions to be drawn from the evidence. Now you can faith and belief, but not, I'm going to make up something that I have belief in it. No. I have not a doubt that their meaning is the same, and that their authors were two of the greatest spiritual mediums that the world has ever seen, or that it will soon see me again. I finally believe, if I have not a right to claim, that I know it to be so. And now, in closing, the great task imposed upon me by those grand old sages of the most important epochs in the distant past of world's history, I have but one regard, and that is, that I have had to perform it under so many difficulties, so little to my own satisfaction, and I justly fear so little to the satisfaction of the great spirit minds, who, for want of more fitting and suitable instrument, were compelled to depend upon my humble efforts to get their invaluable impartations and inculcations before the world, while laboring incessantly for years to aid these spirit messengers to fulfill their great mission to mankind. I have had to do battle with almost alone, but through it all, I have never looked back to see how far I had advanced, or wished for rest. Inspired by influences that came to establish the reign of truth on earth, I have been sustained in every emergency that has been preserved. And I would like to know who the medium is, right? Wouldn't you? Or does it matter? It's the process that I throw into question, and if there really are these spirits, they don't sound the most honest. But the scholarship in investigating whether or not they can confirm those claims is an interesting set of things that you'll still not find too well. People talk about the historical Jesus, and they don't really do much in the way of talking about a historical Jesus. Because one, they try to make it one person and try to say, well, the Bible said it, and people say that Christians believe things, so therefore the Jesus must really be God. Really? You look at the words of Jesus, and you kind of don't think he was God. The words according to the Bible.